Everybody loves going on a vacation where they have a memorable experience and that they come back completely renewed. I've been going to the beaches of Negril, Jamaica since the 70s through the 80s, and more recently, regularly, since 2001. The thing about Negril is that, in Jamaica, is that there's a lot of poverty there, and because of that, the locals are always after the tourists to try to hustle them. But what attracts me to Jamaica is that, obviously, the tropical climate, the beaches, the cliffs that go right down to the sea on the west end there in Negril, and of course, this fantastic culture that's full of colorful characters. In Jamaica, you never know what's going to happen. One time when I was in Jamaica, I was staying just right outside of Negril, up in the hills, because it was cheaper. And I was walking up this road late at night, and out of the bushes comes this big, dark Rasta guy. And he goes, in patois, he goes, "Yeah, man, give me some money." Startled, I don't have any money, that's why I'm staying up here in the hills. And he goes, "Cool, man, I'm Winston." So Winston and I talked for a little while, and during that conversation, he asked me for money for a couple more times. After the third time, I turned to him and asked him, "What part of no don't you understand?" From that moment on, we were friends, and he never asked me for money. Later on another trip in 1986, I found myself in Negril having dinner with a bunch of friends in a restaurant. Of course, this was a little plywood shack with a tin roof, and there were no doors or windows. And so while we were finishing dinner and the owner of the restaurant was rolling up a smoke, some guy comes to the window, and turns out this was an undercover cop. And he starts having words with the owners in patois, and they were going back and forth, and it was getting real intense for a minute or two. And all of a sudden, the guy pulls a gun and jumps through the window, arrests the guy. Now, this is not a normal dinner experience in Jamaica, okay? But you never know what's going to happen in Jamaica. Another time, recently, me and my wife, we were in Negril, and we were on a motorcycle, and we were going to get gas. And so right before we got to this really nice new modern gas station, looked like a 7-Eleven with gas pumps, this guy gets right behind me on his motorcycle and follows us into the gas station. And he pulls right past me, and so as I'm getting gas, he starts going, "Psst, psst." And I turned around, looked at him, took stock of what was going on in the gas station, and in a very loud voice, I said, "I'm not interested in drugs. I'm here on vacation." Well, my wife was pretty embarrassed because it was pretty loud. The people behind me were a little shocked, and this young guy, he was mortified. He got on his motorbike and just drove away. It was the way that I wanted it. People not to try to hustle me, but to go away from me so they don't hustle me. You never know what's going to happen in Jamaica. So on our last trip to Jamaica, it rained for days when we were there. And of course, we ended up going through all our books, and we got real antsy for beach time. So I found myself coming back from the heart of Negril in a taxi talking to the driver about things to do. And he said, "Oh, well, here's something. Maybe you want to go to a cockfight about 30 miles from here in a place called Sav Lamar." And so I thought about it, and I said, "Well, let me think this through." And so he dropped us off where we were staying, and I started talking to the manager of the place where we were, and they said, "Oh, no, you shouldn't go there. That could be dangerous." Of course, I was intrigued. And so I asked him, "Well, can you get me a car?" So the next day on Sunday, we had a car and a driver, and they took us up to Sav Lamar. When we got there, it was like an old gravel parking lot, maybe for 20 cars. It was kind of overgrown, and behind it was a jungle. On one side was a rundown shack with a tin roof, and 20 or 30 Jamaicans standing around drinking beer and smoking weed. On the other side, there was this, yeah, okay. And on the other side was a concrete area with chain link around it and a tin roof where they fight the cocks. So before we got there, I was discussing with my wife about if she had any apprehension about going to a place like this, because I had a sense we'd be the only white folks there. She said, "Of course not. As long as you're comfortable, I'm comfortable." So the first round of cockfights started, And I wasn't mixing well with these guys. They weren't mixing well with me. And so there wasn't a lot said. And then there was a break, and we went off to the side, and a couple of guys came up to us, and this first guy says, "Have you ever been to Negril?" And I go, "Yeah, well, I'm staying there right now." And he goes, No. "Have you ever been to Negril in 1986? And so I was thinking, I didn't speak to anybody, I just thought this through. I thought, yeah, I was in Negril in 1986, and I stayed at the Hotel Ixtabi. And so I turned to him and I said, and answered him, "Yes, I was there in 1986. And so then he turns to me and says, "Well, I was the bartender at the Hotel Ixtabi, and I'm pretty sure I saw you there." We looked at each other, pretty stunned. Everybody was stunned. This was a wow moment for everyone. Here we are in a cockfight in Savlamar, 30 years plus after the fact. We're running into a bartender who's seen me. Holy smokes. Well, at that moment, it was a watershed moment. The whole scene changed from us being intruder-like people to us being welcome guests. The Jamaican camaraderie was incredible. Everybody was giving us drinks, asking us if we wanted to smoke, giving us betting advice on which bird that's going to win. This was incredible. You never know what's going to happen in Jamaica. That day, we connected with people just like us who were looking for a distraction in life. When we left, after the fist bumps, the handshakes, we won't forget their final words, which were, "Yeah, man, it's all cool."
It's Jim Rich. Let's hear it for Jim.